What if the next global conflict isn't over land or oil, but over electricity? While everyone is distracted by AI, a much bigger crisis is unfolding. We are running out of power to fuel it. And that's why a $6 billion merger between Trump's media company and a fusion energy firm isn't random. It's strategic. In 60 seconds, I'll show you the one chart data center CEOs are quietly panicking over. The timing matters because the AI energy crunch isn't a 2035 problem. It's already hitting 2026 planning cycles. This deal could position Trump as an energy broker for the AI era, and most of the mainstream headlines are missing why. On December 19th, 2025, a headline that broke Wall Street's brain hit the market. Trump Media and Technology Group, or TMTG, was merging with a private company called TAE Technologies. Now let's be clear, this isn't a simple cash purchase. It's a massive all-stock merger where the final valuation is pegged at more than $6 billion. The deal is structured so that upon closing, shareholders of both TMTG and TAE will each own roughly 50% of the newly combined company. I'm using the deal terms as reported at the time. Final structure can change before closing. For a meme stock media company, this was a shocking pivot. The market's reaction certainly got people talking, with TMTG shares surging on the news as investors sized up the company's sudden shift from social media to deep tech energy speculation. Why? Because in one move, the company completely transformed its story. It was no longer just about a social media platform. It was now a speculative bet on the future of energy. This wasn't just an energy play. It was a bet that fusion energy could solve AI's hardest constraint. Power is now the bottleneck of intelligence. Analysts at Wedbush immediately called it a major play on creating the first public nuclear fusion company in the US. The combined company announced its incredibly ambitious intention to site and begin construction of the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant in 2026. This deal, expected to close in mid-2026, isn't just a business transaction, it's a strategic reinvention. But to understand why this pivot is so significant, we need to talk about the problem nobody can buy their way out of that's keeping every CEO in Silicon Valley awake at night. Because this is the first time compute is outrunning power. Artificial intelligence is not just code. It's a staggering amount of electricity. Every time you use an AI assistant or generate an image, you are tapping into a global network of massive, power-hungry data centers. And the growth is explosive. According to the International Energy Agency, or IEA, global electricity demand from data centers could more than double by 2030. That's a scenario that would equal the entire energy consumption of a country like Japan. Think of AI like a new city being built overnight, and the power grid was designed for a small town. Research from firms like Goldman Sachs projects that data center power demand could jump significantly by 2030, with some estimates as high as 175%. One analysis suggests a single query to an AI like ChatGPT can use nearly 10 times the electricity of a simple Google search. This isn't some distant future problem. Pause for a second. This isn't a demand problem. This is a supply timeline mismatch, and those are brutal. Utilities are warning they can't build power plants fast enough. Tech giants are scrambling to secure power, signing massive long-term deals for any electricity they can find. The problem is that AI doesn't sleep. It requires constant 24/7 power, something known as baseload power. Renewable sources like solar and wind are fantastic, but they are intermittent. The sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. This has led to a global reevaluation of nuclear power, which can provide that steady, carbon-free energy. In fact, at the COP28 Climate Summit, over 20 nations pledged to triple their nuclear capacity by 2050. This is the crisis. The AI revolution, the single biggest technological shift of our lifetime, is running headfirst into an energy wall. And whoever can provide a clean, unlimited, and constant source of power won't just be an energy company, they will be the foundation upon which the entire 21st century digital economy is built. And this is where the story stops being about politics and starts being about something much more fundamental. So who is the other half of this deal? While TMTG is a household name, TAE Technologies has been operating for over 25 years in relative obscurity, pursuing one of the holy grails of science, nuclear fusion. Founded in 1998, this isn't some fly-by-night startup. They have raised over $1.3 billion from some of the biggest names in finance and technology, including Google, Goldman Sachs, and Chevron. TAE has spent decades and over $1 billion building and operating 5 successive experimental fusion devices, getting closer and closer to a breakthrough. Their goal is to create a miniature sun in a lab. But unlike most fusion projects, TAE is focused on a different, more advanced approach. For years, this was deep science, confined to research labs. But the AI energy crisis just changed the timeline. Suddenly, TAE's decades of research were not just scientifically interesting, they were strategically vital. If you're getting value from this breakdown of how technology, energy, and finance are colliding, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We're digging into the stories that the mainstream headlines miss, and your support helps us keep doing it. They are pioneering the use of a hydrogen-boron fuel cycle. In simple terms, this aneutron fusion process promises to be the cleanest form of nuclear energy imaginable, with the primary byproduct being harmless helium. While this is their ultimate goal, it's important to note their current experiments use different fuel cycles to get there. Their unique reactor design is also projected to be smaller and more cost-effective than competing designs. This merger gives them public market access and capital to leap from research to commercialization, with TMTG committing up to $300 million in initial cash to fund TAE's next steps. Now, let's connect the dots. This deal is the convergence of 3 powerful forces: the AI power crisis, advanced fusion technology, and a clear shift in government policy. This isn't happening in a vacuum. The Trump administration had already laid some of the groundwork. In late 2025, President Trump signed an executive order, often referred to as the Genesis Mission. This order specifically directs the Department of Energy to use AI to accelerate scientific discovery, and it explicitly names nuclear fusion as a priority area. The mission's goal is to ensure American leadership in key technologies by uniting the nation's supercomputers, data, and researchers. Suddenly, the TMTG-TAE merger looks less like a random business deal and more like the private sector execution of a stated national strategy. TMTG CEO Devin Nunes put it bluntly in the official announcement, stating the deal will cement America's global energy dominance for generations and ensure America's AI supremacy. The vision is clear. The combined company plans to begin building its first 50-megawatt utility-scale plant in 2026, assuming regulatory approvals move quickly, with much larger 350 to 500 megawatt plants to follow. The company's public pitch frames this as a way to provide clean, abundant electricity, tailor-made for AI data centers and advanced computing clusters. This isn't just about building a power plant. It's about building the power for intelligence. They are attempting to create a new, publicly traded asset class, AI native power infrastructure. The idea is that this merged entity won't just be a power provider, it aims to become the essential energy provider for the entire tech industry. It's a pivot from a social media platform to a foundational infrastructure play for the AI era. So here's the real question. Does fusion arrive just in time for AI, or 5 years too late to matter? Of course, the vision is one thing, reality is another. The risks here are enormous. Fusion energy is still a pre-commercial, pre-revenue technology. While TAE has made incredible progress, they have not yet achieved net energy gain, the point where a reactor produces more power than it consumes. Jumping from experimental devices to building a commercial plant in 2026 is an incredibly ambitious timeline that will require billions more in capital, far beyond the initial cash injection from TMTG. And TAE isn't alone. They are in a race with other well-funded fusion startups like Commonwealth Fusion Systems and Helion. Helion is notably backed by Microsoft, which has already signed a deal to buy power from them with a target online date of 2028. The pressure to deliver is immense. Furthermore, there is huge execution risk. Running a social media company is complex enough. Combining it with a deep tech hardware project on a multi-decade timeline is an unprecedented challenge. The deal is a high-wire act, blending meme stock volatility with the patient, long-term timelines of fundamental science. So what's the real reason for this merger? It's a masterful pivot. Trump Media and Technology Group is trying to transform itself from a company defined by the political news cycle into a high-risk, high-reward bet on the single biggest need of the 21st century: unlimited power for unlimited intelligence. By merging with TAE, TMTG has acquired 25 years of deep tech research, a roster of blue-chip investors, and a potential solution to the AI energy crisis. They've created one of the world's first publicly traded vehicles for pure-play fusion energy, giving them access to public markets to fund an incredibly expensive mission. This is a bet that the future of geopolitical power lies not just in controlling information or armies, but in controlling the energy that fuels innovation itself. The company is making a bold claim that it can provide the clean, constant baseload power required to win the AI revolution. Whether this becomes a historic masterstroke or a spectacular failure remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the game has changed. This is no longer just about social media. This is about power. What do you think? If you had to choose today, Masterstroke or Meltdown, which side are you on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.